It's starting to feel like Wisconsin's starting quarterback position might be cursed. For the third year in a row, the Badgers have watched their quarterback one go down with a concerning injury. In 2023, Tanner Mordecai broke his hand 6 games into the season. Last year, Tyler Van Dyke tore his ACL 3 games into the season on the first drive against Alabama, and this season, Billy Edwards goes down on a non-contact injury on the 3rd drive of the season. While it may not be as serious as many of us Badger fans worried about originally, Edwards will still be week to week for the foreseeable future. After 2 years of having to watch Braedyn Locke play scared, which crushed the offense, we finally have a new backup quarterback in Danny O'Neil. With O'Neil taking the reins for the foreseeable future, I thought there would not be a better time to go over his backstory. This is how Danny O'Neil ended up at Wisconsin. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college ball content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what you want me to talk about in future videos in the comment section below. Danny O'Neil is originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, and played at Cathedral High School. O'Neil would take over the starting quarterback role as a sophomore, throwing for 2,956 yards and 33 touchdowns, whilst rushing for 305 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground. He would lead the Irish to a 14-1 record and a Class 5A state championship. As a junior, O'Neil would throw for 2,654 yards, 32 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, whilst rushing for 293 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. For his senior year, Danny would compete in the Elite 11 finals, making him one of the top quarterbacks not just in the Midwest, but in the country. His high school coach would speak on Danny, saying, "Danny has become a true coach on the field. He is involved in game planning, and I value his input as a student of the game. He has been heavily involved in our off-season leadership development program, led multiple efforts in the community for service opportunities. Not only is he a heck of a player, he is a heck of a young man. I've been blessed to coach him, the best quarterback I have ever had the pleasure of coaching." O'Neil felt it was an honor to hear his coach say those words, explaining, "There have been so many great quarterbacks to come through Cathedral, and I know Coach Peebles has had a bunch of talented guys at other schools too. Coach and I have had a really good relationship over the last few years, and I'll expect it to grow as the season goes along. The stats and the personal accolades are cool to have by my name, but I haven't really thought of them too much. The only legacy I care about is leaving being a winner and going out my senior year with another state championship." As a senior, Danny would throw for 2,068 yards, 31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, whilst rushing for 722 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. He would finish his high school career throwing for 7,678 yards, 96 touchdowns and 19 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,320 yards and 27 touchdowns on the ground, going 32-7 as a starter, being named 2-time City Offensive Player of the Year, All-City Selection, and IFCA All-State Top 50 Offensive Player for the state of Indiana as both a junior and a senior. He finished with the Cathedral records for yards, touchdowns, and completions and attempts. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, Danny O'Neil was a 3-star recruit who was the 8th best player in Indiana and 45th best quarterback in the 2024 recruiting class. Received over 20 different Division I offers from likes of Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and San Diego State. Wisconsin and Duke also showed interest in O'Neil, but would never officially offer him. Colorado would show the most interest during O'Neil's recruitment, as many viewed him as Deion Sanders and offensive coordinator Sean Lewis's hand-picked predecessor for Shedeur Sanders. During a visit, he drove past a fraternity house that had a bedsheet hanging from the roof with 3 names spray painted on it: Gage Ginther, Aaron Butler, and Danny O'Neil. That was the wish list of recruits the fraternity wanted to see come change Colorado football. When O'Neil took the visit to Colorado, he was not originally going to commit, but following the visit, he had fallen in love with the school. He told The Athletic, "It all happened naturally, just the way everyone was treating my mom and me. It felt like home, and it was just a great place to be. Boulder's a beautiful city. I got to hang out with Coach Prime a lot, more than any other coach on any visit. Just being around him and knowing his connections were great, but he has a need to win. That's the big sell for me. It's a need to win, not a want to." Alan True from 24/7 Sports told The Athletic, "Danny is a fairly cut and dried evaluation. There isn't a lot of mystery to it. I remember him as a freshman, really being able to throw the ball. Plays at a really good high school program, has won a bunch of games, has great stats, and an awesome touchdown to turnover ratio. Leader of all those things. He's just not quite as big as some of the other guys on the National Recruiting Board. I do think it's interesting to note that Deion and Sean Lewis are taking him as their first quarterback. He tells you that they're valuing the intangibles. They're valuing the locker room product and kind of pedigree that he comes from, with the high school program and, of course, the production. In November, when Lewis was replaced as offense coordinator at Colorado, O'Neal would decommit from Colorado. A week after his decommitment, Lewis would take the San Diego State head coaching job, and a few weeks later, Danny would take a visit to San Diego State, would decide to commit to the Aztecs, and he explained his decision saying, "I felt very comfortable with the coaching staff, having already known Coach Lewis. My family wanted to see what the other school and area had to offer, and it really blew us away. The facilities were nice, the brand new stadium is awesome, and the other recruits and people on the team that I met seemed like really good guys. I'm excited to get to work." Danny would enroll early at San Diego State and quickly made a name for himself, being named the starting quarterback in August before the start of the season. He became the first quarterback to start as a true freshman since the Aztecs moved up to the Division I level 5 decades ago. He beat out Florida State transfer A.J. Duffy and redshirt freshman Javon's Tupo Ada Johnson for the starting job. O'Neal would impress in his debut, throwing for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns, completing 66.7% of his passes. He would struggle against Oregon State, but threw for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns in their 22-21 loss on the road to Central Michigan. He'd impress against Hawaii and Wyoming, but struggle the remainder of the season, only topping 200 passing yards once in the Aztecs' last 6 games. They would lose 6 straight games to finish the year 3-9. He would not play in the Cal game and finish the year throwing for 2,181 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He was named All-Mountain West Honorable Mention and was a 2-time Mountain West Freshman of the Week. O'Neal played behind an Aztec offensive line that tied for 99th nationally in sacks allowed per game at 2.58. He was sacked 26 times and took at least 3 sacks in 5 games. Sustained a left knee injury in the second game of the season, which caused him to miss the aforementioned Cal game and caused him to wear a bulky brace the remainder of the season. Following the season, Danny would decide to enter the transfer portal due to wanting to play closer to home. He told The Athletic, "Family is the number one thing to me. Just being able to have their support and allow them to be able to come see me play, that was a huge reason why I wanted to come back a little bit closer. I want to be able to play in front of the loved ones." He didn't transfer for a bigger payday or to play at a bigger school, but because he wanted to be closer to Indianapolis. He had previous relationships with Wisconsin head coach Luke Fickell, director of recruiting Pat Lambert, and director of player personnel Max Steinecker from their time at Cincinnati. The Bearcats offered O'Neal a scholarship in October of 2022, roughly 6 weeks before Fickell became the head coach at Wisconsin, and O'Neal said he visited Cincinnati multiple times. He decided to transfer to Wisconsin knowing he might not be the starting quarterback this season. He explained they were very honest from the jump about wanting to bring in an older guy. They told me they had a few guys in mind for that position. They wanted to bring in another guy for the room. They said I was the only guy in mind for my position with years left and someone they can bring in and groom and make the future. He wanted to play at Wisconsin because he wanted to develop for a Power 4 conference team and felt like his skill set matched Jeff Grimes' offense, telling The Athletic, "I think the scheme fits. I think it fits the program with the pieces that we have. And then personally, I think it fits just because there are so many different things that we could do and so many different ways to attack a defense with his offense. It's very quarterback friendly. You just got to make sure that you are checking to the right plays. Once you do that, it makes it a lot easier on you as a quarterback. I need to work on my consistency. That's the biggest thing. The highs are high. Faced a lot of adversity this last year. There were some things on the field, some things off the field that were going on. Injuries were a part of it, and just being able to keep fighting as hard as I was and keep battling, I think that's something I learned about myself, is I'm a warrior and I'm going to fight no matter what." Then he would be a 3-star transfer and was the 46th best quarterback in the portal. The Badgers would also bring in Maryland transfer Billy Edwards, who would win the starting quarterback job. That did not stop Danny from taking a leadership position with quarterback coach Kenny Guyton, telling Wisconsin Badger on SI, "Danny is a guy that comes in with a natural-born leadership about himself. He comes with the chip on his shoulder. He's one of those guys that you know what kind of fire you're going to get out of him." Badger fans hoped they wouldn't see much of O'Neal this season as they wanted Edwards to get most of the reps. It would take about 85% of the starting reps this offseason, but would injure his knee on a non-contact injury in practice, allowing O'Neal to get some snaps with the first team. Then Edwards would go down during the season on the 3rd drive of the season with a non-contact injury, bringing nightmares back to Badger fans. It is the 3rd time our starting quarterback has gone down with an injury. Well, it turns out the injury will be a week-to-week situation. Badger fans did not know that at first. Danny would be thrusted in the starting role. While it would be a roller coaster of a performance with a bad interception and 2 more possible interceptions, there were also some flashes of some really good as he led 2 touchdown drives and showed some heart and grit with his legs, something Locke did not do last year. O'Neal impressed me personally, and I'm expecting him to improve come this weekend against Middle Tennessee in Week 2, having the game plan centered around him, getting all the starting reps with Edwards being week to week. He finished the game completing 12 of his 19 passes for 120 yards, passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and an interception. O'Neal spoke on going into the game saying, "I was in the fire. Being able to step into tonight was nothing new. I was out there playing my game, playing ball, getting the ball to playmakers all night long. That was really my goal. I didn't want to hang on to the ball too much. Just be able to let guys go and make plays. That's the biggest, I think the best part of the offense. We have so many ways to get the ball to so many different playmakers. It really does make my job easier." Bickle spoke on O'Neal's performance, saying the maturity level to be prepared enough to go out and perform. And let's be honest, you don't get as many reps. In hindsight, maybe we should have split those things 60-40 or 50-50. You've got to understand that in this game, you never know when your number is going to be called. To have a competitive excellence means you've got to be prepared when that time comes. And spoke on Edwards' injury, saying, "I can honestly say that no, that was by far the furthest thing that I was expecting or hoping. More than anything, you just had to kind of keep a straight face and not show any emotion of any sorts. I thought our guys did a really good job of that. I thought Billy did a really good job. I thought Danny did a really good job of that. While the schedule is brutal this year, this Badger team feels different compared to the last 5 years. And whether Edwards or O'Neal is under center, I think the Badgers will impress people as the season goes on and may shock some fans and the country in 1 or 2 games. The energy on the sideline just felt different on Thursday than it has felt since 2019. What do you think? Can Danny O'Neal impress going forward? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.